let's talk about what really causes dandruff so you can completely get rid of it once and for all. The problem with dandruff is that it kind of goes in and out of remission for years. And of course, they have shampoos, they have topical creams that do include, zinc and selenium and coal tar, but there's some slight minor side effects like hair loss, hair thinning, gray hair, rashes. So to get rid of a health problem, you have to really understand it and the associated pieces connected to it. So let's kind of go through the list. Seborrheic dermatitis. Dermatitis is inflammation of the skin, and seborrheic has to do with producing sebum, which is the oil in the skin. So that gives us a clue, because there's also another thing about this condition. There's higher levels of a very certain type of fungus that lives on one thing, and that is lipids, which are fats, which is the oil in the sebaceous glands. So this very specific fungus eats that oil. 99% of all the microbes in and on your body are bacteria, but you got 1% that is a combination of yeast, fungus, and other microorganisms. Well, this microbe is a fungus, so it does not die with antibiotics. And as you know, another type of yeast or fungus is called candida, and you can get a big flare-up with candida, an unfriendly type of candida, when you take antibiotics. Now, the issue with this fungus, with dandruff, is that it creates inflammation. And with that inflammation comes flaky skin. But you always see an associated increase of oil being produced by your sebaceous glands when you have this condition, which provides the extra food to keep it thriving. It's also common in teenagers. And then for a lot of people, it kind of goes away, but then it comes back after you reach 50 years old. There's also a higher incidence of dandruff in women who have PCOS, polycystic ovarian syndrome. There's also a high association having dandruff and insulin resistance. There's even a cream that they use, which is basically metformin cream. Now, metformin is all about treating insulin resistance in diabetes, which is interesting. And apparently this cream also helps like acne, psoriasis, and even rosacea. Now, if metformin worked for this, I was wondering if berberine would work as well, because berberine has similar effects, but without the side effects. And of course, when I searched that, yes, there is a berberine cream that does help with dandruff, because they say it's antifungal. So what is the common thread with all these issues? The answer is insulin resistance, okay? When you have insulin resistance, you have high levels of insulin. High levels of insulin increase androgens, and that's what's behind polycystic ovarian syndrome. That's behind extra production of sebum, the oil in the sebaceous gland, which provides food for this fungus, which then causes this dandruff. And it just so happens that we get a spike of this sebum when we're 2 years old, also when we're teenagers, and women may have higher levels of androgen after menopause because they get this drop in estrogen and progesterone, but the androgens don't drop nearly as much. So we have this ratio giving them more androgens than these other hormones, which could explain the fact of a spike of dandruff. Now, if we look at metabolic syndrome and what's really behind metabolic syndrome, which is a combination of high blood pressure, high glucose, and high triglycerides and cholesterol, you have as an underlying cause insulin resistance. So all of this is really good information, because the way to get rid of insulin resistance is simply going on the ketogenic diet, as well as doing intermittent fasting. And it just so happens that there's quite a few people that I've observed that had dandruff that went on keto and intermittent fasting, and they did no remedies to their scalp at all, but they got rid of this dandruff. So if you have dandruff and you have not gotten on the ketogenic plan and you're not doing intermittent fasting, I'm going to put a link down below of exactly what this involves. But in the meantime, if you do want some remedy to help you speed this process up, I put that video up right here. Check it out.